The moon hung heavy in the night sky, draped in a cloak of deep crimson as the lunar eclipse cast a shadow over the quiet town of Eldermore. In a small, cluttered attic, the poet Simon Valmont sat hunched over his desk, surrounded by crumpled sheets of paper and half-empty ink bottles. He was searching for inspiration, something to lift the veil of writer's block that had enveloped him for weeks. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation. Even the air seemed to tremble as the moon's shadow crept across its face. Simon had always believed that the moon held secrets, its pale light revealing truths hidden in the darkness. But this night felt different, as if the universe itself was conspiring to unveil something profound. As he peered out the small window, he spotted a glimmer of silver on the dusty floorboards beneath his desk. Curious, he leaned down and picked up a quill pen, its feather glistening like it had been plucked from a celestial bird. It felt cool to the touch, a strange energy pulsing through it, igniting something dormant within him. Without a second thought, Simon sat back down and dipped the quill into a well of ink. As soon as the tip touched the paper, it began to move of its own accord, scratching and swirling in fluid motions, forming words he hadn't even thought of. Bewildered, he watched as the quill inscribed in shadows deep, where echoes dwell. A lover lost, a tale to tell. With heart of night and eyes like flame, forever bound, yet never named. Each line flowed effortlessly, weaving together a narrative that seemed to emerge from the very essence of the quill. Simon felt a pull, a magnetic force drawing him into the words as if they were alive. He was no longer just a poet, he was a vessel, channeling the whispers of a bygone spirit. As the ink dried, he felt himself slipping into a dreamlike trance. The room around him began to dissolve, and suddenly he found himself standing in a mist-laden forest. Ethereal whispers filled the air, their origin obscured by the dense fog. He took a tentative step forward, the ground beneath him soft and yielding. Shadows danced among the trees, flickering in and out of sight like memories on the verge of recollection. In this surreal realm, Simon stumbled upon a figure, a woman clothed in flowing garments that billowed like smoke. Her hair was dark as night, cascading around her shoulders, and her eyes glimmered with an otherworldly sorrow. There was something hauntingly familiar about her, a recognition that tugged at his heart. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice trembling in the stillness. "I am Alara," she replied, her voice like the gentle chime of a distant bell. "A forgotten lover, forever entwined with the fate of this world and the next." Her words resonated within him, echoing the verses he had just written. It was as if the quill had reached beyond the veil of time and space, drawing forth her essence. Simon felt a pang of longing, as if he had known her in another life, in a time when love was untainted by sorrow. "Why do you linger here?" he asked, stepping closer, drawn by an invisible thread that bound them. "Because of a pact," Alara said, her gaze piercing through the veil of fog. "I was once a muse for a great poet, my love his greatest inspiration. But jealousy and betrayal severed our bond, leaving me trapped between realms. Each lunar eclipse renews the curse, and with it, the pain of my loss." Simon's heart ached for her, for the sorrow that weighed upon her spirit like a shroud. He remembered the lines he had just written, feeling their significance wash over him. The quill, the ink, the moon, everything was connected in this ethereal tapestry of fate. "What can I do to help you?" he asked, desperation lacing his voice. "Tell my story," Alara replied, her voice tinged with hope. "With each word you write, the chains that bind me grow weaker. But beware, the shadows that linger here are drawn to sorrow, and they will seek to reclaim me." Determined, Simon returned to the world of ink and paper, the quill poised over the blank page as he began to write again. Once in a time of shimmering light, two hearts entwined, souls taking flight. In a garden of dreams where passion bloomed, their love flourished, but shadows loomed. The words poured forth, fueled by the pain of Alara's past and the strength of his own longing. As he read each line aloud, the air crackled with energy, and Alara began to glow, her form becoming more solid with each verse. But with every stanza, the shadows crept closer, a swirling mass of darkness that writhed like living smoke. They whispered insidiously, their voices a cacophony of despair. "You cannot save her," they taunted. "Love is fleeting, and so is hope." Yet Simon pressed on, the quill racing across the page. Betrayal struck with a dagger's kiss, an artist's despair turned love into mist. With jealousy's grip, the bond was undone, and Alara's heart became forever shunned. The shadows recoiled slightly, but their grip tightened around Alara, pulling her back into the depths of despair. She struggled against them, her ethereal form flickering like a dying flame. Simon could feel her pain as if it were his own, the weight of her sorrow anchoring him to the present. "Write my name," she urged, her voice filled with urgency. "Speak my truth." "Your name is Alara," he cried, his heart pounding in his chest. "Your love deserves to be remembered." He wrote her name with fierce determination, pouring every ounce of emotion into the ink. As he recited the words, a radiant light began to emanate from Alara, illuminating the darkness around them. Though time may wane and shadows grow long, Alara's spirit shall rise, ever strong. A tale of love, forever unfurled, a luminous beacon in a sorrowful world. With the final word, the quill fell silent. The shadows screamed, a sound that echoed like the wailing of lost souls, but the light enveloped Alara, wrapping her in a cocoon of warmth and love. She turned to Simon, her eyes glistening with gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice fading like the last rays of the setting sun. "You have freed me." As she vanished into the light, the shadows dissipated, their hold broken. Simon found himself back in his attic, the moon still shrouded in darkness. The quill lay still in his hand, feather now a deep, radiant silver. The ink had dried, leaving behind a collection of verses that captured Alara's tale, a story woven from love, loss, and redemption. With renewed inspiration, Simon knew that his journey as a poet had only just begun. The echoes of Alara's sorrow lingered in his heart, and he vowed to honor her memory through his words. He understood that every story told could resonate with those who listened, that even the most spectral of lovers deserved to be remembered. As the eclipse passed, he felt the weight of his own chains lifted, the ink flowing once more, the quill guiding him toward the horizon of endless possibilities.